How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Respect and Pray Show with your one and only Miguel Mike Medina Triple M. In this episode, this person that I have for this episode of the Respect and Pray Show, she has become one of my frequent collaborators. She's a very talented sports content creator, writer. The list goes on and on. She is someone that's very driven, very passionate for what she does. This interview right here, I had so much fun. This is one of the most intellectual, this is one of my favorite episodes that I've recorded throughout the 7 seasons of the Respect and Praise Show. There have been so many great guests, and she's another one on that list. So, if I were you, if I were you, I would watch every single minute of this interview. You won't regret it. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to present to you a frequent collaborator of mine, Ms. Jasmine Pollock. Jasmine, thank you for joining the Respect and Pray Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Miguel. It's a pleasure.
For sure, for sure. So I gotta start from the beginning. Where are you from, and what was your first memory of you watching sports and falling in love with the sport?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Tampa Bay area, Clearwater, Florida. I grew up here, born and raised. This is home. Florida's home to me. My biggest memory I can remember in sports, and this is kind of what triggered me to pursue a career in sports media, sports journalism. I used to always wonder what I wanted to do as an adult and, what are your dreams and goals, right? And this is when I was in middle school. And I remember I've always been a big sports fan growing up and different things like that. And I'll actually give you two instances. The first instance was the New York Giants winning their second Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. And my parents were so nervous, but as a little girl, I'm watching that. I'm like, I think the Giants are going to win. Like, I really believe that because that's who we were rooting for anyway. And my parents were so scared they left the living room. They're like, "Oh, we're not watching it. Brady's gonna win another one." I'm like, "No, no, no, stay." And I remember as a little girl grabbing the TV and watching that moment happen, and the Giants getting that victory, and it was just one of those moments. And two is watching First Take every morning with my father, and that's when they had Skip Bayless and Stephen A. on ESPN, and I was always talking to my father about sports, and he's the one that kind of pushed that of pursue a career in sports journalism. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with sports. So
The Giants' second Super Bowl victory over the Patriots, I remember we were all in my sister's house watching that Super Bowl. And before the Super Bowl, me and my best friend, we thought, okay, we won the first one. We broke the
Mhm.
perfect we like they broke the perfect season, but we wouldn't be surprised if Brady got his revenge on the second one.
Right.
So we came with that mindset, okay, Brady and the Patriots are gonna win the second one. And they could have, if it wasn't, I hate to say, but if it wasn't for Welker's drop pass, it would
Mhm.
have been a whole different conversation. But
Right.
Mario Manningham's catch,
Yeah.
gave them that extra boost to win. And I just remember when they scored that touchdown to give them the lead. We went
Yeah.
crazy over here. I ended up going to the parade with my sister and with one of my sisters, and that was a great experience. First Take, oh my God, that's where I started watching First Take when it was Skip, Stephen A, and they had Jay as the
Yeah.
moderator at the time.
Mhm.
This was before Carrie Champion,
Yeah.
and I, for me, that was my favorite era of First Take.
Yes.
I stopped watching it a long time ago. It's just not the same anymore. It's not entertaining for me as before. And I was in my early years in college when I was watching that. I always tuned in. But yeah, but I definitely hear you, and that's why I could resonate and why it would inspire you to get into
Right.
sports media, which leads me to a follow-up question. You attended Warner University, and I never heard of this university until you told me about it. That is just there's too many universities in this world, so but you study sports communication there, and you did quite a several things, but one of the things that stood out to me was that you were the women's flag football team co-captain in 2022. So how
Hmm.
did that come about? How was that experience? Like as well as how was the experience of doing other things like radio, etc.
Yeah, great question. When it comes to Warner, when I first started at Warner, that's not my first school I actually attended. I actually attended a school in well, the school was called Johnson and Wales in Miami, Florida. But when COVID hit, the school completely shut down, so we had to completely recalibrate, navigate to a different, school. And I applied to Warner. Warner came up, and I never heard of the school. Me living in Florida for so long, it's in a little town called Lake Wales, Florida, and it's just probably an hour south of Orlando. It's in Polk County, probably like 30 minutes from Winter Haven, and Lakeland and things of that nature. But when I played flag football, this is how it started. I first get there and didn't know anyone there. The only person I knew there was my fiance. We both went there together because we both went to the same colleges, which was awesome. And we just wanted to find something to do. This is a new scenery, new everything from Miami. It's a completely different town, opposite of Miami. Very quiet, very small, very a lot of pastures, cows, and things of that nature. So we wanted to find something to do, and I still had that sport wanting to play sports in me. And when I found some girls that were in my dorm, they were talking about, yeah, we played flag football, things like that. And that was like kind of our orientation. And I was like, oh, flag football, I've seen it played. I heard about it, just never played it because I grew up playing softball. And I was like, I'm going to try it. And they used to have like little drills outside, just like, just doing things like that, having fun in the field. We had a lot of field out there, so like, oh, you want to hang out after class, let's go throw the football around. So that's what we kind of did, and it started from there. So that's when I got on the flag football team, and I became co-captain. I was the oldest on the team out of everyone. It was really exciting, but it had its ups and down moments. And after that, I knew like sports. What I'm thankful for is I gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of grit playing that sport. But then again, on the opposite side, what I learned from that is um, sports was no longer a thing of me playing anymore. I played decently, I did what I needed to do. Far as I learned how to be a leader, learned how to, connect with different people, and I got to travel different places I've never traveled to, and I'm thankful for that because I love to travel. But I just learned that this wasn't for me, and that's why my final year of in college, I just decided not to play. I decided to just play by play for the flag football program and just do things like that and help out the team whatever which way I could. So that was kind of my experience. And Warner was a great experience doing radio, connecting with a lot of my professors. Shout out to Professor Tim Craig, who believed in me. He saw a vision for me and what I could be, and he's constantly been a supporter of mine. I've built a lot of great relationships with a lot of my classmates that and right now I'm going to be doing collabs with some of my classmates. They've reached out to me that we're going to do some collabs as well in the future. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey, and you can always tell them to, hey, if they want to collaborate here on the MM Journal for some
Of
content
course.
creation.
Yeah.
And also I'm always looking for inspiring sports writers, to get more experience. They could definitely come over here as well. And build this community of, of sports media folks, communication.
Yes,
And because it's not an easy, I mean, no industry is easy to get in, but this is a very competitive,
it
very
is.
tough industry to get into. And we all need experience. We all need to start at point A's somewhere. We can't
Right.
jump from A to Z. So, you know, for any of you who went to Jasmine, who were classmates of Jasmine, I'm putting it out there. So, all right. So
Right.
take advantage of every small opportunities. But yeah, you also did an internship, editorial internship at Fox Sports Radio, which you were there for 9 months. It's one thing to be there for 3 months, 6 months, but you were there for 9 months.
9 months.
So how was the how would you describe your experience there? And what stood out to you? What stood out to you the most from there?
Yeah, so the Fox Sports internship was a really awesome experience. Um, even though it was remote, I'm home, but it was still a great experience of learning different things. And shout out to Kelsey Nicole Nelson. She is a broadcaster for Fox. She's doing a lot of great things, and she's a role model of mine. And working underneath her was really awesome. And just seeing her do her thing and learning from that, you getting that experience of me being an aspiring journalist myself and wanting to be a voice and wanting to be a voice in sports as well. Just learning from her was really awesome, and adding some of those things to my brand and things like that. And it made me appreciate writing more. I've always been a good writer. I took a lot of writing courses in college, especially at Warner Sport, sports writing, news writing, things of that nature, and did stuff like that. But doing that internship really showed, like, wow, I really really like writing and enjoying this. And I think there is a still a need for that. I know we are in a digital age where people want to get visual audio and things like that, but I feel like if you build your brand enough and you add that writing aspect to your brand, it's still very important. And still, people still like to read. We still read on social media whether we like reading or not, through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, different multitudes. We're still reading and listening. When you look at a lot of these reels, you're still seeing a lot of the captions. So this internship really brought that out for me, of the importance of being a writer and the importance of just learning how to listen to an interview. Because pretty much what I did was, she would send me interviews. I would have to do a summary of those interviews, of who she interviewed and different things like that, and listening to some of these great stories of these former athletes, sports business professionals, and their journeys. I was really She interviewed one of the boxers, and hearing his story, his name is escaping me right now because it was such a while ago, but what I loved about his story was he had cancer, and he was a very big boxer, won a championship, I believe. And to that moment, he felt like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to box again. He had to get surgery to remove this tumor, but he ended up coming back to boxing. He's still doing that to this day. So hearing stories like that is so inspiring, to where you think like your world is completely upside down and you can't do what you love. And then something, a blessing, a miracle has happened. That's all you can think of. And just turning that into your motivation. And now you're inspiring other athletes, not just in boxing, but other athletes, to continue to pursue their goals and dreams, regardless of the circumstance. And that was one of the biggest things that stood out to me. And even for myself, going through certain trials and tribulations, and going through things that you may not enjoy all the time. That's not what you want to do, but it's still light at the end of the tunnel. It's still me putting out work, still writing, still putting out these videos, still doing my show. Things of that nature is putting me a step further, because the great Tom Brady said this: you do not have to be the best at the position. The thing is your consistency and your work ethic. Tom Brady wasn't the most athletic sixth round pick, but his work ethic, he being a student of the game, understanding the dynamics of being a great quarterback, and honing in all those skills. And we look at what he is now. He didn't have to be the most athletic. He didn't have to be the fastest. Just be the best. Be the best at your work ethic and be consistent. Show up to work on time. Be prepared when your time is called. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned from this Fox internship as well.
Tom Brady is one of those athletes that I never rooted for. I was always anti Tom Brady. I mean, hey, I'm from New York, so um, I've always been an anti Brady guy. I've seen him throughout my entire career, but I've grown to appreciate him more now that he's retired, in the sense that everything
Yes,
he had to endure to get to to get to the greatness that he had. So this
absolutely.
guy, he was the sixth round pick. He, you said it best. He was not the most talented quarterback. He didn't have an arm like Dan Marino or John Elway. He There was just so many not top qualities about him,
Right.
but it
Mhm.
was his work ethic, it was his consistency that kept him there for such a long time, and why he thrived for such a long time. And he has a
Ab
tremendous football IQ, tremendous.
Tremendous.
Um, It's just unbelievable. And that's why now that, he hanged it up and I got to know more about him through his interviews, through the documentaries, I've grown to appreciate his work ethic because you might not root for an athlete, you might not root for a team,
Right.
but you respect what they did and
Yes.
in terms of what they accomplished. And that's, my feeling towards Tom Brady. So he's definitely someone that I say, whether you're an athlete or not, for any profession, you got to look at him as an example of
Yes.
you could be the most underdog person in the world and you could, rise to the top. So that's why I'm one of those sports fans, sports writers that I'm always rooting for the underdog. I'm always rooting
Yes.
for
Hmm.
the small market teams because those are some of the best stories because of the things that they had to go through, to get there.
Right.
So, but yeah, but you know, I thank you, for mentioning that quote. That quote is phenomenal. I loved it. I love it. Um, yeah. So now we're gonna play a game. I do this with all my guests on the Respect and Pray show. Something simple. So the first question that I'll ask you, what are your top three travel destinations that is on your bucket list that you haven't been to yet?
Wow. Hmm. Top three places. Okay. Number one, I would say I would love to visit Tokyo, Japan. I'm a big fan of the culture, anime. This is the mecca. A lot of video games are created there, things of that nature, and that's the mecca for a lot of things. So definitely Tokyo, Japan, and just the culture, and then trying different food, of course. Two, I would say, hmm, two, I would love to visit um Maldives. I love tropical weather. I love beach. I'm from Florida obviously, so that weather that even though people complain about the heat, love that stuff being around water. I cannot live somewhere where there's not a body of water like I just can't. So I would say definitely Maldives. And finally, I would say I would love to visit definitely it all of the try to visit, some of the top destinations in Africa, and just getting that experience, visiting Egypt, visiting things like that, because I'm a very spiritual person, and what I've learned with reading through scriptures, which is the Bible and things like that, traveling is important, and you learn things by traveling to different places and traveling to where your roots are, and not just me being black but just being the biblical roots, of the people creating so many different memories and so many different moments in history that have changed history forever. So I would definitely visit I'll say the continent of Africa. Obviously certain places you can't go, but definitely the continent of Africa would be my third place to visit. And I think it's important that people do travel and learn different things throughout the world. You learn different experiences, you gain different experiences, trying different foods, learning how to do certain things. So I think traveling should be on everybody's bucket list for sure.
As a person myself that loves to travel, even though I haven't traveled in 2 years, but I always say traveling is therapeutic.
Yes, it is.
Which of the two you would either like to experience first, or if an opportunity would be presented towards you, cover Super Bowl or cover the entire NBA Finals?
Ooh, you know what? I have to say I love basketball, but I have to say Super Bowl because I have been to the Super Bowl before. I've actually worked the Super Bowl when I was back in 2020 when Mahomes won his first Super Bowl. I can say that that's a very big thing. That's a big accomplishment that I witnessed that first in real time. And being at the Super Bowl is a very completely different experience. Like it's out of this world. Like just the fans, the the festivals, the festivities, different things like that, the concerts. There's so much that goes into it that from growing up seeing it from the screen is completely different than being there, because there's so much production, so much things that have to be in place at the right time for this to be displayed worldwide. So I would definitely say I would love to cover the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, lucky you, but I definitely would love to experience being at the Super Bowl in real time.
Yes.
I would love to experience that someday. So, you're a spiritual person. I'm a spiritual person as well. So, what's your favorite book or movie about spirituality?
So my best friend gave me this book called The Fruit of the Spirit. Well, the Five Fruits of the Spirit, that's what it's called. Very phenomenal book. I recommend that to everyone. I don't know the author, so I don't remember the author's name, but in that book talks about how the different levels of fruit that are speaked about in the Bible. And what's so impactful about it is God wants us to be fruitful to others, to ourselves, to a lot of different things, and share the good works that He has blessed us with. In that book, it showed what it means to have little fruit and how you can improve yourself to have great fruit and and build abundance, and not just, and when we talk about abundance, it's not abundance is financially, abundance in life, and a lot of different things, in knowledge, in love, and grace, a lot of different things like that. And it was tying into, when before Jesus died on the cross, it was tying in him talking to the disciples in the vineyard about the grapes and about the fruit and different things like that, and just how impactful that was for me personally. And my favorite movie when it comes to spiritualness, and people may not see this coming, but my favorite movie of all time is The Lion King. And there is a symbolic thing. As a kid, I grew up watching that movie. That's my favorite movie ever, Disney movie, anything. That movie was so impactful to me because as I grew older, I understood it more. Like it may, even though it's a cartoon, it's a kid thing, I get it, but just the powerfulness of that and growing into something greater and not settling, even though you've been dealt bad hands in life, even though you've had a traumatic experience the way Simba did, obviously, but still knowing who you are and what you were born to do and born to be, and going to claim that. He had to go through a lot of different things to claim that. And I think that movie resonates with me the most, and it's been that impactful to me. So those are The Fruit of the Spirit and The Lion King are my two top things as far as reading and watching.
The Fruit of the Spirit. I gotta write that down
Mhm.
and check it out. I got two more questions for this game. Um, well, before I answer the question, it's funny you mentioned The Lion King. I saw it recently because since James Earl
Yeah,
Jones,
yep,
rest in peace, one of the greatest voice actors
ever.
in general of all time
Mhm.
ever. I was like, let me watch some James Earl Jones and The Lion King since I have it on Blu-ray. I watched a little bit of that and just amazing body of work, and he was blessed to live 93 years of life.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
blessing. My
Hmm.
grandmother was 94 when she passed away, so it's a blessing when you get to have
You live
a long
right.
life. Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, the fact they got to accomplish all of this, lived a long life in an industry like Hollywood, that's
Yeah,
a grand
exactly.
slam. That's a grand
Exactly.
slam. It's a grand
Right.
slam. The next two questions, waffles or pancakes?
Waffles or pancakes? Oh man. Oh, this one's tough. Oh my gosh, this is so tough. Huh. I will say this. The last thing I ate, the last the out of the two, the last time I ate pancakes was literally Sunday. So I'll say pancakes for now, but it could be waffles next week. But definitely, you can never not give me blueberry pancakes. That's my favorite. So I mean, I have to go with that. I'll say pancakes for now. It may change over time because you can't. Waffles are just, they're illegal too. It's like you can't choose. But today I'll just say pancakes because that's what I ate last. So
Yeah, I feel you can't have one without the other.
yeah.
Um, go out to a fancy restaurant on your anniversary, or make your homemade food at home for your anniversary. It's one thing you go out and spend money, but it's another thing that you know how to make your own stuff at home and be creative. So which one of the two?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. So me, I'm more so I enjoy being home. I would call myself a homebody to some extent. So if it's a rainy day and it is our anniversary, I'm definitely cooking. We're gonna come in, we're gonna go in the kitchen and find a recipe that we enjoy or find one of our favorite dishes and make it. But if it's a nice Friday night, I would love to go out, to a nice restaurant. But I would say definitely having those moments of you and your partner on your anniversary, you guys have those moments of cooking together in a nice place, nice kitchen, and things like that, and just enjoying that intimate moment with each other instead of in a restaurant setting. There's a lot of other people. There's waiters, the waitresses, things of that nature. Other people. Constantly interrupting you. I'm not saying that they are tending to do that, but you won't get interrupted if you are cooking together. In your home. So I would say that in that aspect of it. But there's nothing wrong with going out either, having a nice dinner date, things like that. But I would say definitely, on a rainy day, if it's a rainy day, I'm definitely staying inside and cooking for sure.
All right, good answer, good answer. So we're almost at the end of the interview. So Jazz on Sports. You started this in October 2020, the year of the pandemic. And this is a year where I could say it made a lot of creatives, a lot of people who are in sports, film, media, entertainment business step up the game up to a whole different level. I know because I
Mhm.
went in that particular year with so many things.
Right.
So, how did you come up with the name? It's a very creative name. I like it. Clearly you write newsletters, which I subscribe to it.
Yeah.
And and one of the things that I liked about, and I gotta speak about the recent, was the Bryce Young, your take on Bryce Young. That was great about it, which I wrote about it. But where do you get the idea of Jazz on Sports?
So this is a funny story. So when I first created my sports brand, at first it was called First Impression Sports Talk. So that's what it was for the past couple of years. This year is actually the new name, and I've revamped the whole brand with Jazz on Sports. And this came in. I want to shout out to my mentor, Leon Thomas. He's the one that I've connected with on LinkedIn to give me the idea of starting my own show and having my own, thing on YouTube. But as I got older, as I went through college, as I started learning certain things and having experiences, I wanted to add more. So doing short videos, those audios that you mentioned, the Bryce Young thing, that is something new that I'm adding as well to my brand and things like that, and just making sure I'm being versatile. Short videos, audio, visual, things of that nature. But the Jazz on Sports thing is very funny because it came out of a situation that I disliked. And it came from someone, I'm not going to mention their name. I connected with them, and um that's when it was called First Impressions, and the person was giving me an opportunity, and they looked at my brand and said, I don't think you should name it First Impressions, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. At first I was a little irritated, but then I'm like, the thought came to mind. I believe it was God to call it Jazz on Sports. And, even though that situation did not turn out well, I got out Jazz on Sports on that. And ever since then, it's been a success. And I'm so grateful for that. It's crazy that, things like that, situations that don't work out end up turning into make you flowers is really interesting. So that's how Jazz on Sports came about. It was first called First Impression Sports Talk. Now it's Jazz on Sports. I want to shorten it, even in that, things like that, and just make it simple and easier for people to say, and especially it's me. It's me. Um, First impressions, no one knew it was me, unless I said it, but now it's Jazz on Sports. So that's how it came about.
Nice, nice. So what's the best advice that you received so far throughout your sports media career?
Best advice, never give up. I know that's very cliche. I know that's a lot of people say that, but I'll go deeper. What I mean by not giving up, and this is totally from my experience and what I've been through. You are going to go through things, expect it. Expect to go through things and go through a road you're not going to like. That's just what it is. A lot of people are not lucky to say, "Oh, I got in that quick." People aren't lucky like that. A lot of your greats had to wait. You know what I mean? We talk about Tom Brady. He was a backup quarterback. He had to wait. Wait your time. But while you're waiting, definitely continue to put out your work. Make a name for yourself. I think that the biggest thing for me and you, even Miguel, and everyone that I've connected with, having your own brand is important. There's so many people out here who are creating their own brands and making a name, and that is their name. Like I think that is very important for people right now to be an entrepreneur. We have to be entrepreneurs in a in the world we live in today and how the world is shaping up right now. It is important to own something, to have something to say that even if it's not the biggest, it's not in on a billboard, it's not on TV, have it. Social media, technology is constantly growing and evolving. Have your own brand. Say, like, I have my own thing, regardless if it's small, regardless if it's big, you have it. And find ways to build it up, connect with people, use LinkedIn, things like that, but never ever give up and continue to stay the course regardless of how it looks. I'll say this, to be transparent. I currently work a job I cannot stand. Not saying I love the people I work with. I love my coworkers. I built very great relationships with them, but the job itself cannot stand. But you know what I have to do? The only person that can change that is me. If I say, you know what, I'm just going to tie myself to this job and just put no, I am going full force. What I use this job for is to fund my brand. I use that. I build connections. I have even some of my coworkers have been on my show, things of that nature, giving them a different, giving them ideas like, hey, I never thought about doing that. Everywhere you go, be the best you can, even if you don't like it. Even if you don't like it, be the best you can and utilize it. You know you're not going to stay there forever. You know you're not going to be in that situation unless you allow yourself to be in that situation for a long period of time. You can change the outcome of your life, and I believe that, especially if you call yourself a spiritual person and you believe, you will always have that opportunity that is around the corner if you continue to be consistent, be authentic, be yourself, and continue to push forward and have faith. That's my advice to anyone.
Great advice, great advice. And I strongly 1000% agree that you had to be an entrepreneur. You have to build your brand.
Yes.
Stop thinking to jump from point A to Z. I always say that. I can't stress that enough. Do not jump from one thing to another.
Yes.
We have to slowly build blocks. We all have to start somewhere. And it's very important to be initiative. You have to take initiative, reach out to people, reach out to strangers and say, especially if they're in the same department as you, reach out, ask for
Reach out.
advice.
Yeah,
I'm the type of person I like to learn from anyone. I don't care if you're younger than me. I don't care if you're older than me. I want to
exactly.
learn about you. It's not just about, oh, what do I want, but also think about um what can I do to support you? What can I do to serve you? Because that's what we're here for. There's gonna be some that they're not gonna reply, but you gotta keep it pushing. Go to the
Gotta
next
keep
one.
pushing.
Gotta keep going next one. And that you're gonna get 1,000 no's before you get a yes. You just gotta keep going. If you're a
And
person that
those
has a lot, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
and those no's, and being that you mentioned that, I love that you said that. Getting those no's could be is the best thing for you, from my
I love
experience. And I'm
I
sure
love
you've had that
adversity.
experience too. Yeah.
I love
You know,
adversity.
that builds you, that makes you like, okay, I need to do something better then. If I get told no, and then you become numb to it after a long period of time. The first couple of times it's gonna hurt. Of course, it's gonna be like, man, I know I'm great, but no, build yourself. And then I'm one of one of my ideas, build your brand big enough to where the people that did say no will notice you. Just do it. Just do it. Like, oh man, that person did apply, and that's a story. That's your story. It's just a story that you're writing for yourself. Those no's will build you. Trust me.
For sure, I love adversity. Why? Because it adds so much wood to the fire, and I always got to look. Okay, this is the area I got to improve, and I write everything nowadays. Everything, whether it's constructive criticism, negative comments, I make a mental note of everything just to keep that fire going, that engine going. So I'm never bored, Jasmine. I'm never in this. And this again, this is another thing for anybody who's watching. Get rid of the victim mentality. Get rid of the victim mentality. You're not going to get nowhere with that. So, if you're a writer, you have to take criticism.
Yes.
You can't please everyone. Your writing is not always going to be perfect. You got to take anything in, whether it's good or bad, take it all in and just, build it from there. You never finish learning. Education doesn't stop when you have that degree. That's another thing, people. Education doesn't stop when you have that degree. Always keep going. I'm still taking classes to this day about many different things, from a business side, from an entertainment side, everything. So, but great. This was great. And last but not least, Jasmine, where can we follow you and your work?
Yes, absolutely. So you can check out my YouTube channel, which is just JazOnSports, JAZ on sports, and that's a combined word. I have my show every Monday at noon, but I also do a lot of different things throughout the week. So I constantly put out content. Also on LinkedIn, I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. It's just Jasmine Pollock. You can search me on LinkedIn as well. And then my new asset, which is my newsletter, Jazz on Sports on Beehive. So if you guys want to check that out, I put out weekly. I have to get back to. There's so many articles that I have that I'm trying to, just put out which one I want to put out. So definitely check that out. That's every week. And I'm very, like Miguel said earlier, I'm very open to connecting with anyone. I am not right now. I'm not looking for any price tag at all. Or you pay me or I pay you. I think this is a building block to where we can find ways to continue that, to where we can get monetized and things like that. That's going to come, but I want to focus on building the craft, building that hard work. It will pay off. I believe that is a proven fact. And I want to collaborate with anybody who's open. I've collaborated and connected with a lot of great people, i.e. Miguel right here. So definitely check him out as well, and just give yourselves opportunities. Don't close yourself off from anything, because you don't know what that opportunity could do for you, whether paid or unpaid. It could do anything for you.
Jasmine, this was a terrific conversation. I didn't think that we were going to go into distance, but this was such a phenomenal conversation, great value for anyone that will be listening to this. Just unbelievable. Thank you so much for participating and wanting to talk here on the Respect and Pray show. For those of you that don't know, again, this is the final season of the Respect and Pray show. So many ideas will be coming, so many plans, but Jasmine, you're lucky that you get to part of the last season, lucky 7, I call it season 7, and continue to do what you're doing. You clearly have the mindset of where you want to go, and just keep going. That's all I can say. Keep going and maintain that humility that you have. So
yes,
this will all pay off. So thank you, Jasmine.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I hope you guys enjoy the interview. Now, you know what time it is. Hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to go to my online store, mikesprada.shop, mikesprada.shop, and check out all of my merchandises there, designed by yours truly. So, you guys know the message, the motto: have mutual respect, mutual love, and mutual admiration. I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Respect and Pray Show.